I've just finished replacing the soffit around my house with new vented soffit like this. Normally these come in 12-foot lengths and you have to cut them to size over and over and over again. I took some of the scrap wood I had lying around, and this is more or less a jig that you can slide your soffit into. Like that. And you run your circular saw down here and it rides against this lip. So the only thing you need to do when you use something like this, on your circular saw, flip the blade around. Flip it around backwards. So to start, you pull your soffit in and you just push it up against this bottom portion here. Make sure it's nice and square. I've made a little mark on my board so that I can line it up every time because I know they're all the same length. Make sure you're wearing safety glasses, hearing protection, and a good pair of leather gloves because the saw tends to kind of spit up some aluminum chunks while you're cutting it. So try it out. And you can see how quickly that cuts. So this is the edge that we just cut. And you can see that it's fairly straight and very, very little distortion. This is the other side of what we cut. And you can see we cut through the actual perforated holes, which will happen over and over again. Luckily, these things are fairly malleable and you can just push them all down with your fingers. Building one of these yourself is fairly straightforward and you don't need a whole lot of material to do it. All you'll need is a piece of plywood. It doesn't really matter what size. You can see this one's bigger than I really need it to be. This soffit is only about 16 inches wide and really as long as you'd like it to be. This piece going across here is an old piece of wood paneling that was in my basement and I actually glued this piece of wood to it as my straight edge that the saw can ride up against. One of the easiest parts about building this jig is putting on this portion here, and you can make it as wide as you want because the first time you run your saw through, you're going to cut off the excess wood anyway. So this edge here is always where your blade will be. Really, the only crucial part of this is that the piece of wood that you ride your saw up against needs to be square with this bottom piece of wood here. And that will give you a square cut. It saved me a ton of time and hopefully this helps you out. As always, feel free to leave any questions or comments and I'll do my best to answer.